Hello friends, in this video we will solve a small numerical so as to get the clear idea of SFG, and we will also study a Mason's gain formula in order to calculate a closed loop transfer function. Let us begin. So let us consider this problem where SFG is given, and by observing SFG you have to find forward paths, loops, two non-touching loops and three non-touching loops. So look at the question. You have to find forward paths, you have to find loops, you have to find after that two non-touching loops and three non-touching loops as well. Let us begin with our forward paths. So we will indicate forward paths with T. T1 refers to a first forward path. So it is always easy to start from input node to output node directly in straight line. So in this straight line, as you can see, A, B, C, and then you come to output node, and this can be considered as a first forward path. Am I right? So I can write the forward path as A, B, C. Now you are expressing your forward paths not in terms of nodes, but you are expressing them in terms of their gains. What is meant by that? Here gain is A, then the gain is B, and the gain is C. So you are taking a product of A, B, C, and that becomes a first forward path. I hope you understood the first forward path. Let us see, is there any other way to go from input to output? So as you can see, you can travel like this, that is from input node to x1, and directly you can start from F, and this is how you reach to output node. So I would say T2 has only one gain, that is as F. That is nothing but, actually the gain is like this, 1 into F into 1. So it is F itself. Let's go for T3, that is a third forward path. As you can observe, from input to x1, then you can come via A to x2, but then you can go like this, that is via D directly to x3, and then C, and then to output node with gain as 1. So I can write like this, T3 as A, D, C. So there are total 3 forward paths. By observing, one can understand that there is no other possible way to travel from input to output. So they were asking you the number of forward paths. So the first answer that we got, number of forward paths are 3. Let us go for finding the loops now. So within same SFG, you have to find loops now. I'll start with a very first one. So whichever visible you can write, I mean loop number is not the issue, or loop number is not necessary. What is necessary is identifying the correct loop. So if you see a very first loop, I can take as a self loop I. It is always a good practice that you also mention which nodes it is involving. Since it is a self loop, it is involving only one node, that is x1. So this is the first loop I got. Let's look at the second loop. If you see this B, and then with E you can get back to the same node. So it is involving node x2, x3, and then getting back to x2. So the gain is BE. This is called as a loop gain, and it is involving two nodes, that is x2 and then x3. Of course it is getting back to x2, but you need not to mention x2 again. So it is involving two nodes, that is x2 and x3. The third loop, I can see again there is a self loop with gain equal to h. So h is a self loop gain involving only one node, x4. It is starting from x4 and it is terminating at x4 itself. So by observation I can say that there are two self loops, I and h. Let's see if there is any other loop possible. So as you can see, you can take this as a loop, that is A, B, C, and then with G you can return to x1. So I can take this fourth loop as a bigger loop, that is A, B, C, and then G. So in bracket, I'll mention those nodes which are involved while covering this loop. So by observation, I can say x1, x2, x3, and let's see if there is any other loop possible. I can take this as outer bigger loop, that is F, and then getting back via G. So as you can see, it is involving two nodes, that is x1 and x4. Gain for this as Fg, involving two nodes together, x1 and x4. In fact, now you can go for this type of loop also, that is A, B, C, and with G you can get back to the same originating node, that is x1. Am I right? So it is A, B, C, and G. So it is again involving x1, x2, x3, x4. So by observation, there is one more loop possible. See, look at this. It is D, and then getting back to the originating node, that is x2. So DE would be the gain, and it is again involving only two nodes, that is x2 and x3. So I can say that number of loops are equal to 7. See, motive of this sum is just to give you an idea how to find forward paths and how to find the loops, how to find two non-touching loops, how to go about three non-touching loops. So this is a nice exercise. I mean, we are not going to solve a particular problem like they ask you for transfer function for given SFG. Yes, we are going to solve them in next video. But motive of this video is just to give you an exposure to SFG and so as to get forward paths, loops, two non-touching loops, three non-touching loops, and so on. So let us start with the next exercise, that is finding two non-touching loops. But to find with two non-touching loops, again I'll have to list all the loops that I have along with their involved nodes in the next slide also. So first of all, I'll note down all the nodes that we have found out. So I've done with rewriting all the 7 loops right from L1 to L7 along with their loop gain, along with their nodes which are involved while completing the given loop. So with a little common sense, I can say that since L4 is involving all the nodes, see x1, x2, x3, x4, I mean it is in fact it is covering all the nodes, and therefore L4 and L6 cannot be a part of non-touching loops. Am I right? Since it is touching all the nodes. So while finding non-touching loops, you can eliminate those loops which are involving most of the nodes. Am I right? So let us compare L1 with L2. This is how we go about. So our aim is to find two non-touching loops now. Let us see. L1, you can see it is involving x1 and L2 is involving x2, x3. As you can see, there is no common node. I can say that L1, L2 are two non-touching loops. Am I right? So this is the first set of two non-touching loop I got. Let us see if I have any chance for L1, L3. So observe L1, L3. L1 involves x1, L3 involves x4. Again, they are involving different nodes. I mean, there is no common node. I can say L1, L3 are in fact two non-touching loops. Then compare L1 with L4. So you have to always observe L1, L4 here. Now, so as you can see, x1 is the common node. L1, L4 cannot be two non-touching loop. Compare L1 with L5. Again, x1. L1 with L6. Now you need not to compare L1 with L6 because we have already made L4 and L6 out of competition because they are involving all the nodes, almost all the nodes, that is from x1 to x4. So we are not going to compare L4, L6 with any other node or any other loop. So now I'm going to compare L1 with L7. As you can see, L1 involves x1, but L7 involves x2, x3. So I can say even in fact L1, L7 is a part of two non-touching loops. Again, this may not be the final answer. I have compared L1 with all the nodes, so now I'm not going to compare L1 with any other loop. Let us try to compare L2 with rest of the loops. So let us see if we get a fourth pair. So after comparison of L2 and L3, L2 involves x2, x3, L3 involves only x4. It means there is no common node. I can say, in fact, L2, L3 is part of two non-touching loops. Compare L2 with L4. As you can see, x2 is common node. I cannot have L2, L4 as two non-touching loop. In fact, L4 is something that we avoid to compare with any other loop. Let us compare L2 with L5. So after comparing L2 with L5, I can say that there are no common nodes between them. I can declare L2, L5 as part of two non-touching loops. So L2, L5 are two non-touching loops. Let us compare L2 with L7. So as I said, I'm not going to compare with L4 and L6. So I'm comparing L2 with L7. As you can see, X2 is a common node with L2 as well as L7. X2 is a common node. I cannot compare them. I cannot say them as two non-touching loop. It means now I have compared L2 with any other loop. So I'm not going to take L2 in consideration anymore. Let us go for L3. Now you shouldn't compare L3 with L4 because L4 is already out of the competition. L3 with L5, when you compare, X4 is a common node. So I cannot go for L3 and L5. Compare L3 with L6. Again, we shouldn't compare with L6 as we said earlier. So compare L3 with L7. So L3 is involving X4 and L7 is involving X2 and X3. As you can see, there is no common node between L3 and L7. I can say L3, L7 are two non-touching loops. So I would say L3, L7 are two non-touching loops. Am I right? So hereafter I'm not going to compare L3 with any other loop because I have compared L3 with every possible loop. Now I'm going to compare L5 with rest of the loops. So I'm now only going to compare L5 with L7. L5 is involving X1, X4. L7 is involving X2, X3. As you can see clearly, there is no common node between L5 and L7. I can now declare the seventh pair, that is L1, L7, as a part of two non-touching loops. I'm sure now you have got enough idea how to get two non-touching loops from the given SFG. So it is very simple. Write down all the loops possible along with their loop gain as well as the nodes which are shared by the loop, and then comparing the way that I have taught you, you can easily get two non-touching loops or in fact even three non-touching loops. So on the same slide, I'll try to get three non-touching loops also. So now I'll go for three non-touching loops. So you don't have to go by this method. So better I'll go to the next slide and I'll tell you how to get three non-touching loops directly. So our aim is to go for three non-touching loops. So the method that I have explained you can go by that method only if you want to compare two loops at a time. How to get three non-touching loops? Only by observation. See, I can say, let's say this is first loop. Let's say this is a second loop. Let's say this is third loop. Physically, as you can see, all the loops are separated. Am I right? All the loops are separated because they are not sharing a common node. Like the first loop that I have stated here is involving x1, second loop is involving x2, x3, and the third loop is involving only x4. So as you can see, I can say L1, L2, L3 that I have stated according to this diagram. Now I can say these are three non-touching loops. So according to L1, L2, L3 that I have already stated, the first loop, which is I, is nothing but L1. The second loop, which consists of BE, so according to us, BE is L2. And one more is there, that is H, which is nothing but L3. I would say L1, L2, L3 is a set of three non-touching loop. So this is the first set I got, L1, L2, L3 as a part of 3 non-touching loops. Let us see if we have one more set. So now I'll show you. The first loop, observe I. The third loop, that is H. And there is one more loop, that is DE. As you can see, physically, these loops are separated and they are not touching each other. It means they are not sharing a common node. So I'll just list out which loops I'm talking about. Self loop I, self loop H, and a normal loop with gain as DE. So we do consider I as L1, H as L3. You can see the list on the previous slide. And there is one more loop, that is DE, which was L7 for us. So I would say L1, L3, L7 are the set of 3 non-touching loops. So I'm sure now you have understood how to get forward paths, how to get the loops, how to differentiate between 2 non-touching loops and 3 non-touching loops. So let's move to a very important topic within SFG, that is Mason's gain formula. So what is the aim of Mason's gain formula? Very simple. You know that how to construct SFG. From the competitive exam point of view, let me tell you, you don't have to construct SFG. SFG would be already given to you, and then you have to find a transfer function. The similar way we used to find in block diagrams. Initially, block diagrams were given to us. We apply block diagram reduction rules, and then we get only one block out of many blocks, and then single block gives you overall transfer function. Again, we want overall transfer function, but this time a system would be described with the help of SFG. So let us see the formula first. Formula says a closed loop transfer function, which is nothing but C of S upon R of S, is equal to summation, where a variable is changed from 1 to k, Ti into del I divided by delta. So here in summation, I is varied from 1 over k. So I can just expand it this way. When I is equal to 1, I would say T1 delta 1. When I equal to 2, I would say it is T2 delta 2. When I equal to 3, it is T3 delta 3, and so on. And you know that the upper limit is equal to k, so it would go this way, that is Tk delta k, and this whole divided by delta. I know that you have not understood the formula, but yes, how to expand it, at least if you understand that, it is enough for me. So now I'll tell you what is the meaning of every variable here or every term here. First of all, let us understand what is exactly mean by k, which is upper limit of this summation. K indicates number of forward paths. So k indicates total number of forward paths. For example, let's say if k is equal to 3. What does that mean? There are only 3 forward paths. In that case, a closed loop transfer function, that is C of S upon R of S, is equal to T1 delta 1 plus T2 delta 2 plus T3 delta 3, that's it, and then whole divided by delta. So let's say if k equal to 4, then I'll add extra term in the numerator, that is T4 delta 4. So I'm sure now you have understood what if the k is varied. It just either increase or it will decrease the number of terms in the numerator. So T means it is a forward path. And when I say Ti, it means it is ith forward path. Let us understand what is meant by delta. So this delta is your denominator. So delta has got one formula. So I'll just write over here. It is 1 minus sum of all individual loop gain plus summation of gain product of two non-touching loops minus summation of gain product of three non-touching loops. And let me tell you, this is a never-ending formula. You can remember it like this. First of all, we will have negative here, then we have positive, then negative, and then positive, and this will go on. So as you can see, in the first bracket we have summation of all individual loop gain, then we have summation of gain product of two non-touching loops, then we have three non-touching loops, and so on. We will have summation gain product of four non-touching loop. But let me tell you, in reality, we will never go for this. Even in competitive exam, they will maximum go up to this. And most of the time, you will just end up over here. That is summation gain product of two non-touching loop. So this is nothing but what? Your delta. So I'm sure now you have understood. See, I'll make you understand these things again. When I say T, it means it is forward path. When I say K, it means it indicates total number of forward paths. So K indicates total number of forward paths. So when K is equal to 3, then the numerator expands as T1 delta 1 plus T2 delta 2 plus T3 delta 3, and that's it, whole divided by delta. So when I say Ti, we know that what is meant by T? T indicates forward path. Then what is meant by I? I indicates the forward path number. It is not number of forward path. It indicates the ith forward path. When I say T1, it indicates a first forward path. When I say T2, it indicates a second forward path. When I say T3, it indicates a third forward path. So Ti indicates it is ith forward path. So it is very, very important to understand each and every variable here. And that's the reason why I'm putting a lot of time. So we have understood what is Ti. We have understood what is delta. We have also understood what is the significance of K. K indicates the total number of forward paths. The only thing which is left, it is delta I. So let us understand what is delta I now. So this is only left for explaining this Mason's gain formula. So let us understand what is delta I. See, delta I would be same as delta, or in fact we would say delta I is obtained from delta itself. When I say delta, it means I'm again talking about this formula, okay? So delta I is derived from delta only, removing those loops which are touching ith forward path. What I have said, let me just write it. So let me just try to describe it. So once again, delta I will be same as delta, but from this delta, you have to always remove those loops. You have to just cut away those loops which are touching ith forward path, where I is nothing but the same number, that is delta I. So when I'm talking about, let's say delta 1, then it is same as delta, but removing those loops which are touching first forward path. When I say, let's say delta 3, when I'm saying delta 3, then I would say it is same as delta, but removing those loops which are touching third forward path. That is, you have to observe T3 and you have to see to this T3 which loops are touching. You have to just remove those loops and the remaining delta you have to write. Let's say if all the loops are touching, then delta I is always equal to 1. So right now what I'm actually trying to convey you may not understand until unless we really start with solving the actual problem. So yes, we are going to solve the problem, but in the next video. Thank you.